Happy Wednesday, winners. It is our favorite day of the week, and you are now tuned in to another weekly episode of the Ladies in Motion podcast, Talk It Out, where we shine light on women that's winning in the local community. I am super excited. I'm your host, Madam Walker, and today we are shining light with on a California native born right here in Georgia. Y'all, she graduated high school in 2006, where she first went to college to be a teacher and eventually made the pivot in the lane she is now, which is a licensed esthetician and the owner of a 2-time award-winning men's spa, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all better clock it, okay? And she's also the founder of Self-Love and a Safe Space, an event that is curated to just empower men and women. And today we're going to get the inside scoop on all of these things. Y'all, I need you to welcome Miss Britney Chaunté Johnson to the show.
Hey, y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
I appreciate you. I was telling her, thanks for being a woman that's winning, because women like you allow me to have this content. And I know I was telling you that I moved here about 4 years ago, but I've been following you for almost just as long. You're one of the first people that I followed, yes, when I moved here. You're very welcome. So I wanted to share that with you. You and someone else that I'm very honored to say were one of the first people that I followed when I moved here, and I'm gonna have her on the show too. And she's your photographer. I seen her taking your shots.
Oh yes.
So I'm super excited to just be connected with the women that's winning here in Georgia, being a Florida girl. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, girl. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I mentioned y'all that she's a 2-time award-winning spa owner. So just you taking your time out to be here today means a lot. Before we get started, I'm the queen of shout outs. Okay. Do you have anybody that you'd like to shout out? Any business partners, people that help you along the way, anything?
Of course. I definitely want to shout out my mentor, Miss Candace Holyfield, 6-figure spa chick, founder of the largest Black spa community in the world, Spa by Strive. I also want to shout out my boy, Coach Munn, founder of Built Different. He is not only a personal trainer, but a life coach, and he has helped men all around the Atlanta area really get into not only their physical but their mental, and tapping into that and owning it. And the last person I want to shout out, last but not least, is my girl Angelique, founder of Soul Touch Massage and Spa. She is my favorite licensed massage therapist, but she is also a healer as well.
Okay, well, shout out to y'all, and shout out to Tribe, right?
Yeah.
We were speaking last week, how your tribe finds you. The village is usually like people that you're used to, probably grew up with, but your tribe that is attached to you, truly does find you. 6-figure spa chick, shout out to her.
Yes.
That's crazy. I've been following her too for just a long time. So we're going to talk about the importance of just investing in yourself and mentorship, because that's something that a lot of women that's winning that I've been sitting down with speak about, how they invest in a mentor to help, guide them along the way. And shout out to my best friend, Alicia Miller, almost Dr. Alicia Miller. She's a, what do you call it? I'm losing my train of thought. Godly, not a nurse, a practitioner.
Okay,
Yes,
Miss
godly.
Alicia.
Yes, so she's a practitioner. She's been doing great things, but she has a mentor, Ebony, who has just told her, like in your first 2 years, you've been able to accomplish what took me and some of my colleagues about 7 years, and that came from mentorship. So we're going to talk a little bit about mentorship today, okay? So shout out to you ladies. We're going to get right into this because I'm so excited to just dig into your story. You have an amazing story, and for me, you're a true example of just creating your own lane and walking boldly in it. So I'm ready to get into it, okay?
I'm ready.
So I like to start these interviews just asking people a little bit about themselves, like personally, so that me, myself, and my audience can just get to know them. So you mentioned that you were born in California, you were raised here in Georgia. Just tell me a little bit about your family dynamic, like when you were here in Georgia, like who'd you come from California here to Georgia with?
Yeah, so my mother was actually raised in Albany, Georgia.
Okay.
But she enrolled in the Navy after she graduated high school. So that's how she ended up in California. She met my dad, of course, in the Navy. And I was born in San Diego, California.
Okay.
But we moved here when I was about 6 or 7 because we wanted to be closer to family. There was no one on that side of the world.
Right.
So we decided to move here. And so I was raised in Gwinnett, raised in Gwinnett with my parents and my one older brother.
And then being raised here and from military parents, did you, when you were getting into high school, your mom decided to go to the Navy, but did you think about that as well?
No.
What was your
Never
plan?
So that was never a thought for me. Thankfully, my parents always instilled in us to do what you want to do, but also make sure that you can make a check from it because you're going to have to take care of yourself. Right. So I was never pressured to do things that I didn't want to do or enroll in the Navy. It was always my decision.
And I guess I have a question of what was it back then when you were about to step into the real world? What was it that you saw yourself doing? And okay, this is Britney. I'm about to graduate high school. This is what I'm going to do because this is what I see myself doing. What was that journey like?
I just knew I was going to be a teacher.
Really?
That was really, I felt at that time was my calling, my passion. I enjoyed speaking to people. I enjoyed teaching people. So I used to work at a daycare. Okay. And when I tell you, I was always the teacher of the month, the kids' favorite students. And then eventually I became a substitute teacher. And I ended up substituting at my old high school that I graduated from, which was very, very different, but I loved it. I loved seeing all the teachers and kind of being on the same level as them. But of course, that didn't pan out. After my dad passed away, that is when I really changed my perspective on life and what I want out of life. And that was really a turning point for me. And that's what encouraged me to start my business.
So I'm sorry to hear about your dad.
Thank you.
Yes, and I know he meant a lot to you just because, I've done my research and I've heard you speak about him often. So we're definitely going to tap into that because I just love that, just you watching your dad, because I always ask this question, did you see someone in your circle, like in your family, in entrepreneurship? Like, is that even something that you knew you could do? So I do want to talk about that. So you go to college, you knew that you wanted to be a teacher, and how long were you in school before you realized, okay, I might need to make a pivot? And after those first 2 years of school, did you go right into studying to be an esthetician, or did you try something else again before you just landed in the lane that you are in?
That's a great question. Yeah, I swear I've had about 3 or 4 different lives before this. So I ended up finishing my 2-year degree for teaching, and I got an opportunity to work in a medical company for imaging. So I did medical billing and got certified in medical coding. Okay. And I really actually enjoyed that job, and I made some good money. So that was a determining factor, the money. The money was more than what I was getting at the point of me teaching. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this.
So where the money was at.
Yes, girl. And I enjoyed the job. I really did. I enjoyed it, but it was not fulfilling for me. And so I actually did that for about 7 years. Before I started my business. Yeah, I did that for 7 years. But I also enjoyed the fact that I was able to still incorporate teaching within that position because I was one of the lead trainers. Okay. So all the new employees, I was able to train them, teach them the ins and outs. And so, again, fast forward to 2018, my dad passed away. And it changed my life. I just really, thought about life and how it can be gone like that. And am I really doing everything in life that I want to do before my time ends here, on Earth? So I said, I got to figure something out because I enjoy what I'm doing in my present job, but it's not fulfilling. I don't see myself doing this forever. And so I decided to step out on faith and start a business. And if it didn't work out, I said, I'll just go back to medical billing and coding.
So I'm curious. That's amazing. That's an amazing story. Before this started, we were talking about life and death, unfortunately, and it is just so sudden, and it doesn't matter how old you are. You know what I mean? So because it happened so suddenly, I will say that is something. Some voice it can break you, but some of it can make you walk bolder in your purpose. And for you, I'm so happy that was the case because you are thriving.
But let me say this, it's real. It broke me. Okay, so I don't want anybody to pass that aspect of death, but it broke me. I didn't really know who I was for that first entire year of me grieving over my dad's, over losing him. I didn't know who I was.
Right.
I was out of it. I was just living life, waking up, going to work, coming home. That's it. I don't really even remember that first full year. Wow. And it wasn't until after that first year that I went to therapy.
Okay.
Therapy really opened my eyes. It helped me heal. And once I was able to really start healing from his death, then I started to think about, okay, what do I want from my life? What would he want, for me to be doing? He would want me to be happy. He would want me to do things, that's fulfilling. And so it did take some time for me to get through that. But once I was able to get through that, and thankfully, thanks to God, I was able to get through that. I was able to really live in my purpose, find my passion, and create my own lane.
That's such a blessing to hear. And it's nice to hear you say, it took you about a year. Because sometimes people think it's, oh, no, I just got to get right back, so soon. But you need that time to grieve. And what I found out, like, you could literally just be having, everything would be good, but it could just be a song or just anything that can just take you back to that moment. So shout out to you giving yourself that time. And shout out to you getting in therapy. Was that your first?
That was my first
time with therapy?
I had never considered therapy. Never thought I needed it. For me, I've always been confident in myself. I've always been confident in my ability. And again, that's thanks to my dad, just being raised by him and him affirming me and reminding me of who I am and what my power is. I felt that I was good. Like I was raised well. I really believed in myself. But again, things happen in life that we don't expect. We have traumas, that we have to heal from. Sometimes we don't realize that how much it affects us. But again, I was at a point after his death where I was just really down. I mean, down, not getting out of bed for days.
Really?
Not eating, not really wanting to be around people. And I had to wake up. I had to wake up. And I had to tell myself, like, girl, this is not it. This is not you. You got to figure something out. And I had to go to therapy.
And did anybody encourage you to do that? Because it isn't so common, like, in our culture and community. So was it someone like, you should try this, or you just was like, my back is against, so I got to try something?
Yeah, so of course my mom had encouraged me a couple times. I've had friends. They didn't push it on me, but they would mention, like, you ever thought about going to therapy? Maybe that'll help you. Nice. And so of course I had to be ready to do it. But once I was ready, I was just so happy. I should have been in this.
Should have been out on it, right? That's what's up. So I love that for you. Because I'm looking at the end result of all that, and that's why I like to have this story too. I use this platform to let people know, like, the journey is not easy. The woman that's winning that you see today, it took some trials and tribulations and heartache and heartbreak and everything to get here, and I just like to let people know that it's not always a cookie cutter walk, so that's what this platform is for also. So you are just 7 years, you say you lost your dad, or after 7 years working, losing your father, you tapped into purpose. I am a firm believer that God leaves little nuggets along the way in our journey. Like, for example, you were passionate about teaching, and then even once you went into your medical, you were still teaching then, you know what I mean? And even now, I don't even know, but I know you're teaching now in the space that you're in. But I want to ask you, let me see, were you always into beauty, skincare, self-care? Like, were you always into that? And once you made your pivot, like, what made you go to esthetician school? Was that always something you was interested? I'm just curious to know how you got there. Thank you.
I've always been a girly girl, okay? Like, nails done, they not done today, but, I always kept myself up. Like, I'm into the girly things, like going to get a pedicure, going to get my hair done, doing makeup, And so, and also, again, a tribute to my dad. I grew up seeing him have a self-care routine, and my mom too as well. But they both had self-care routine, not just looking good, but also they worked out. They ate well. They were very healthy.
Mhm.
And so I grew up seeing that. And my dad, he would always tell me, like, when you leave this house, make sure you represent us well physically, you know, make sure that you look good. And then when you look good, you feel good.
Yeah, it does.
And
true.
so I didn't know at the time of me starting my entrepreneur journey that I would end up in the space that I am now. But this is so random. But one day I just woke up out of my sleep and told myself, I'm just gonna start doing brows. I'm gonna do eyebrows. That's how I started my business. I was known as the brow artist.
Okay.
And the reason why is because from my own experience of getting my brows threaded, you know, girl, my brows was scarce. And then after a period of time, I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I have no eyebrows.
Really?
And so I started doing them myself. And eventually they grew back. And I would get compliments randomly by women, and they would ask me, "Who does your brows?" And I'm like, "Girl, me." And so I just started like doing family and friends brows, and then I just made a business out of it. I'm like, let me just try this again. If it doesn't work out, I'll go back to the medical field. So I started with brows, ended up expanding to lash extensions. Fast forward, went to esthetician school because I'm like, I really want this to be a real business. I need to legitimize it. I need everything in order. As soon as I finished esthetician school, I meet my mentor, who of course helps me with all the things that I need to know for the spa world. And I was just having a conversation with her and telling her, like, I really, you know, I don't love doing lash extensions. I kind of want to explore facials. And she told me, if that's what you want to do, do it. And I'm thinking, like, I have to change all this, that, like, she like, no, if it's something that you really enjoy doing, you think you'll like doing, just start doing it. Just that simple. Just do it. And so I started veering more into skincare. And also from my own journey, I experienced bad acne from stress, from just different factors, not eating right. And so learning about different changes we can make in school and going to a professional esthetician for the first time myself. Shout out to my girl Tay, more than Skin Aesthetics. But going to my own professional esthetician and getting treatments and just making life changes, changing my skincare routine and seeing how my skin cleared up. I'm like, I want other people to feel confident in their skin too.
Yeah. And it just started from there.
It started from there.
And then how did you meet your mentor? I'm curious to know how you
Girl, that's random too. So I had never heard of this lady. As big as she is, I have never came across her on social media, never seen her, didn't know who she was. So one of my friends from esthetician school, she texted me one day and like she was like, hey, let's go to this Taco Tuesday, just randomly. I'm like, okay, girl, we could go. I go to the Taco Tuesday, and it is my mentor's Taco Tuesday, Candace, 6-figure spa chick. And that was my first time ever, again, seeing her. I just bought the ticket. I didn't know who it was, what the information would be. So I go there. It's my first time meeting her, seeing her, hearing her speak. Literally in that maybe 1 hour session, I said, I need her in my life.
You knew it.
I knew it. I just felt it.
And
mind you, prior to that, 2 months prior to that, I think I met her in March. January, I said a prayer. I said, Lord, like, I'm feeling stuck in my business. I know this is what I need to be doing, but I need you to direct me because I'm not very clear. I know, listen, like I said, I've always had confidence and I big myself up. I'm like, I know I'm that girl, but I need the world to see that.
Yeah.
And so I need you to point me into the direction of where I need to go, who I need to invest with so that I can show the world like who I am. And I needed to be clear. I needed to be clear because I can't waste no money or no time at this point. I needed to be crystal clear. And literally everything that she said that day, I felt like it was no one else in the room. She was speaking directly to me. Directly to me. So by that Friday, I paid her to be my mentor. And it's been up ever since.
That's what's up. I love that for you because, you know, I'm in that phase of feeling like, dang, okay, you know, I think I need a mentor, you know, and then shout out to my best friend, the practitioner, but she's the first person that told me about investing in a mentor, and
Mm-hmm.
she always says this, and it stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
She said you can let your mistakes teach you,
Yep.
or you can let a mentor teach you. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather a mentor teach me.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes, something that you said is just I'm in a season 2 that it's like, now I'm making it my business to be in certain rooms
Mm-hmm.
because you never know who you're gonna meet, So I'm just super excited what's to come. And I'm just super excited to hear your journey. Like you prayed about it.
Yeah.
God is so good. On time, ain't he?
Yes.
But you prayed about it, and then you went and you said it was like you knew that was your mentor. So I love that for you.
Thank you.
So you started with brows,
Yeah.
then lashes. You go to school, and then you say you want to get into facials. How long after you had been working as an esthetician did you open your salon? Like, how long did?
Oh, girl, it was open from. Okay, so when I was doing brows, I started out of my apartment. And mind you, this was like during COVID too. So I started out of my apartment, and about 7 or 8 months later, I rented a suite, and I've been out like ever since. And I've always had confidence in myself. You really have to believe in yourself. Of course, have faith in God, number one.
Right.
But you really have to be delusional, like they say. You have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You really have to believe in yourself. I didn't know what was going to come of this, but I've always believed in myself. And so it's just after me moving to my first suite, it's been up since then.
Ever since then. Okay.
I've always had a location since then.
And so I just want to kind of talk about the journey that it took for you to kind of find your lane right now. So, like I said, she is a boss woman that's winning, and you're just dominating. I love that you have a men's spa and you, target that audience. So I want to talk about how you even found your target audience.
That's recent too.
Really?
Yes, girl, that's recent.
Okay.
In the last year.
And so before you go into that too, I just want to make sure you knock it all out. Within the last, that's so mind blowing to hear. So I want to talk about that, how you found your target audience and lane, but what you do to also perfect your craft. Like once you got into doing facials, like how do you know, like, oh, okay, I do this. Like this is, come to me for this, and then get into the lane that you're in. Talk about all that.
Okay. Girl, you like, we getting deep. Okay.
I love it. I'm ready in your story. Yeah, I've been following you.
I feel so honored.
I've been amazed.
Thank you.
By what
I
you're
feel
doing.
so honored to hear that.
Yes, girl.
Thank you.
And just to me, it's like prime example. When I meet people that I've been following for a long time, just stay the course, stay in your purpose. You never know who's watching or just whatever. So I love seeing you every time you post, just everything, because I feel like you are dominating. Like to me, you're a prime example of someone who created their own lane and they're dominating in it. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
And that's what we do. Get flowers on this show. Okay.
Yes. So loved. So where do I start? Investing in a mentor.
That's
so
okay.
So, and the reason I really honor Candace is because she sees you. When I say she sees you, like she really takes the time to get to know you and sees you and has a genuine desire to really help you become who you know you are, who you should be. And so it was really from a conversation that she overheard. We were at an event. We were at Young Jock's Men's Appreciation event, and shout out to Young Jock as well as Cherie for allowing me to continue to be in spaces like that to work, their events.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But I do want to go back to that. I just can't forget, so I had to say that. Go ahead.
So we were at a Young Jock Men's Appreciation event, and she overheard me talking to Jeremy, just about my dad. It just came up in conversation, me talking about my dad and sharing my story of, why I even do what I do. And so after that conversation, she pulls me aside and she said, "That's it." And I'm like, "Girl, what's she talking about?" She like, "That's it. You need to focus on men." She said, "The way that you spoke about your father and honored your father and the passion in your voice and just how you spoke about him, that's your lane. You need to stick with that." And I'm like, okay. To me, I'm just casual conversation, sharing my story. It was nothing, no bells and whistles. I'm just having a conversation. And so I thought about it. I'm like, okay, let me try it. I mean, it's worth a try. Let me try and see. And so as I began sharing my story and focusing on men
Mm-hmm.
and realizing the need for it,
Yeah, it
the
is.
need for people to hear my story,
Mm-hmm.
and the lack of self-care amongst men in the Black community is needed.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it started.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy it. And it's nothing that I have to work too hard for. It's just simply me telling my story and having a desire for every Black man that I come across to know, like, hey, you're a king. You deserve this. You are our leaders. You are heads of our households.
Yes.
You all hold so much, so much. And it needs to be released. And you need a safe space to do that. And so I provide that safe space for you. Not only, of course, we're going to address your skin concerns. Of course, you know, you're going to get a good stretch, but it's more than that. And the reason I say it's more than that, because just recently, one of my male clients, when he left, he said, man, I just felt like I had a therapy session in a good way. And so it's a lot of stress and trauma and tension that's released, not only from me doing the work, but providing this comfortable and safe space for them to release those things.
So we're going to talk about self-love in a safe space, just to keep rolling it out since we're there. But, you know, something that stood out to me is that we just talked about certain rooms you have to be in, right? And then it just stood out to me that you was at a young jock event who was a celebrity, you know, but it was a men's appreciation event. And that's before you even got in your lane,
Before
you
I got
know,
in my lane.
and you was already at a men's appreciation event. So that stood out to me, you know. So I love that for you. I really, really do. And you know, you just speak on a lot of good things. I just can't let it go. But you know, just like you said, the men, they're the heads of our household. You know, they're providers, protectors. They got so much on them, and it is sad when you think about it. A lot of them don't take out the time for self-care and like a lot of self-love. You know, and it should be non-negotiable. It should be a priority, being that so much falls on them. You know what I mean? So shout out to your mentor, hearing your passion and saying, hey girl, this is it. You know, I love that. So you have this event, self-love and a safe space. Let's talk about that particular event and how it got started. What, you know, you mentioned massage. I want to know what's going on at these events, you know, because it sounds good.
Yes, you got to come to my next one.
I am. Tell me when and I'm there.
So self-love in a safe space, that's my baby.
Okay.
So I have curated a space for not just men, but both men and women to connect with each other, to be vulnerable, to engage in inner healing, to really dig deep, and to just come and be who they are, not with, you know, all the extras added. You know, I attend a lot of events, right? And thankfully, I have been able to really make some dope connections and meet some dope people and share my story. But, you know, at these events, I got to dress up. I'm in work mode, you know. And sometimes I'm going through things, but I still got to show up.
Yep.
And so I wanted to create a space where people could just show up as who they are. And what even got me to that point is, again, my own journey and my own story. Going back to the time when my dad passed, you know, first my dad passed, then COVID hit, then I separated from my husband. I've been through a divorce. Things were just happening back to back to back. And there was a point where I was literally on my knees in my apartment with no furniture, praying to God, like, I need a way out. I need a way out. I'm really going through it, and I don't know what direction to turn to. And of course, thankfully I've had family and friends, you know, who are there to support me. But when you're going through things, sometimes you feel like, yes, you might have that support, but they still don't understand what you're going through in that moment. And so I wanted to curate a space that I could provide, that I needed when I was going through those tough times, you know. And we are living in an era of social media where people only show the good parts mainly.
Right.
You know, they show their success. They show the money, the cars, the booming business, right?
Right.
But they don't show what the journey or what it took to get there, or the failures, or the trials, the tribulations, the traumas. They don't share that part. And so for me, I've always wanted to show up on my platform as authentic and real, you know. And so I wanted to not only share my story, but also provide encouragement for the next man or woman and say, hey, like, I know you're going through this and it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. And I want to provide a community where we can lean on each other. And it's okay to be vulnerable as a Black woman or a Black man. It's okay to say, like, hey, today it's not a good day for me. I'm going through it. Let's talk about it. Yeah. Let's open up. Because you'll realize when, and as I've realized, as I've started to share my story, girl, I'm not the only one going through this. But it wasn't until I spoke about it and shared my story that I realized, guess what? The next person going through it too. They're successful, but guess what? They had bad days. Yeah. They're successful, but they've had failures. Does that mean that they are a failure? No. That just means that they got to try again. Yeah. And so when you hear that and you're in a room with other people that you can relate to, it's inspiring and it helps you to keep going. And so that is really the purpose of self-love in a safe space to help you just to keep going. And you don't have to be a business owner or entrepreneur because we've all gone through things. We're all human, right? We're all human. We all make mistakes. We have all gone through something that we felt we couldn't get up from. And so this is a space for you to really connect with others who are real and to also hear other people's success stories, but also know, like, hey, they went through it too. Yeah. But they kept going, you know? Yeah. And so that's really what it's all about.
I love that you just created that lane and, you know, you can hear the passion. You know, I know this is your purpose. And I'm just meeting you, but just prepping for today and just watching you and other interviews, you know, I can tell that you're passionate. This is your true purpose. Shout out to your mentor pushing you, you know, like, hey, saying this is your lane, actually.
And she pushed me to create this space, too.
Really?
I had thought about it, you know, but of course, with new things, you're nervous, right? Yeah. And also, again, I have brought something that nobody else has brought, right? Yeah. There's no other spaces like this anywhere. And so this is something new. This is something that has to do with mental health. This is something that has to do with self-love. And when I say self-love, I'm not talking about going to get a massage or get your hair done. I'm talking about really digging deep and healing those inner wounds, healing the trauma, digging deep. That's what self-love is really about, is viewing yourself the way God views you, despite the flaws. Okay. And until you can really get to that realization and get to that mindset, the self-love is lacking. It's not there. And so to provide such a new space to the Atlanta area where it's nothing else like this, it was scary because it's like, who gonna come? Who gonna support? Of course, if it's a brunch or, you know, something dealing with networking, entrepreneurship, we gonna be there. Yeah. But this is totally different.
Yeah, it's a different lane.
It's a different lane. But the impact that it's had has been fulfilling, and it really lets me know, like, girl, yes, you living in your purpose. Because I only planned on doing one event. It was going to be one and done.
Really?
Yes, girl. It's just going to be one and done.
How many have you had now?
So I've had 3.
3, y'all.
And they have all sold out.
Okay. 3. That's right. That's amazing. So 3 events, y'all. She's been in business 5 years, which is amazing. I love this. I want to ask a few more questions, and I want to drop some fun facts. Okay. Because I learned that Chaunté. Tell us what does that mean? Like, why did you name it Chaunté Esthetics?
Okay, so I did go through a rebrand because remember, y'all, I said I started with brows. So I was originally BJ's Beauty Brows. Okay. It was everything brows, girl. Okay. And I still love doing brows. Shout out to my brow girlies that still come to see me because I still provide those services.
That's amazing.
So as I'm finding my new lane, right, finding my purpose, the BJ's Beauty Brows, that gotta go. Okay. Okay, because I'm more than that. Right. Yeah. I'm more than that.
You've expanded.
And so I had to think. I thought for months, y'all, like, this was not an overnight thing because I'm like, okay, this really has to represent me to the fullest. And so Enchanté came up because in French, Enchanté means nice to meet you. By the way, my best friend is African. Okay. So I learned a few French words, you know, from her. So Enchanté in French means it's nice to meet you.
I love that.
But my middle name is also Chaunté.
It was nice.
And so It's not spelled the French way. It's spelled with my middle name, but not only is my middle name incorporated in that, but also when I think back of people meeting me, even strangers, y'all, I get strangers that will randomly come up to me and they'll tell me, like, I really love your energy. Thank you for smiling today.
Yes.
My clients, they always tell me when they first meet me, like, it was just so nice meeting you. You are such a warm, energetic person, and I really feel your energy and your passion. And so Chaunté means nice to meet you. And I'm like, that's the perfect name. That really encompasses everything that I am, everything that I represent. And so Chaunté Esthetics was born.
I absolutely love it. It was just meant, you know. And a few more questions.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, like, when you are creating your own lane, it can be nerve-wracking, but I obviously see, and you said you've always kind of been a confident person and sure of yourself, but were there ever moments where you felt a little timid in this space? Like, was there? Okay. And how do you deal with those moments? And what did you do? I'm sorry, to just educate yourself and get yourself to where, this is a rare space, but I've educated myself enough and I've done this enough that I can actually show up in this space boldly because I know what I'm talking about. Like, what have you even done to get to that space if you have started out?
That's
like
a great question. First, prayer, of course.
Right.
But also mindset. So working on the mental is so important. And I started affirming myself. Yeah. So that was really the start of it. Affirming myself. I did create an affirmation book, y'all.
I was going to help with
that. Yes. But I had to really start affirming myself because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in yourself. And if you think about it, who told you weren't the best?
Right.
Who told you that? Who tells us that? Where does that thought even come from? We are all wonderfully made by God. We are all made in His image. He is the creator of all things. And if we're made in His image, we are creators too.
Yeah.
And we have different talents and gifts that come naturally that no one else has. So who told you weren't the best? And so I constantly remind myself, like, I am that girl. I am the best. I don't care if there is 100 other estheticians doing what I do. They cannot do it like me. Amen. And so by daily affirming myself, literally waking up every morning, praying and meditating and reminding myself of who I am and what my power is, and sitting in silence, y'all. We do not sit in silence enough. We are always on go. We're always on the phone. We're always, our minds are always thinking of the next thing. But we have to sit in silence sometimes. We have to sit in silence and remind ourselves of what our power is and tap into that more. And so, yes, there are still times where I might question or have self-doubt, but I immediately, girl, nope.
Can't live in here, doubt.
No, we're not thinking that.
Yeah.
We're not thinking that. I'm changing my mindset. I'm redirecting to who I am and what I am and what I want to be and what I want to grow into, because life is a journey, right? Where we can never get to 100%, but we can work at getting to 99.
Right.
And so by affirming myself, by being around other people who have the same goals, who are going to encourage you on those days, because we need that, right? Sometimes we need to hear it from others to remind ourselves. Working out, what I take in daily, not just physically, but what am I listening to? Yeah. Who am I speaking to? Are they pouring into me? Yeah. What music am I listening to? What is the message behind that? All of those things are important, whether we think about it or not, but our subconscious information goes into that. And so what information are we taking in? That's important. So again, it's all with the inner, digging deep in inner healing. It's an everyday journey. Yeah. It never stops.
It is every day. So you talked about this journal, the affirmation journal. Talk to me nice, right?
Talk nice to me.
Talk nice to me.
Talk nice to me.
I like that. So tell me just how that even came about. Like what, how long in this journey did you, come up with that? Was it when you maybe lost your dad and you had to come through that? Like when did that?
So that was also recent too.
Recent?
Yeah. A lot of this is recent, y'all.
Okay, y'all. Been winning, still winning. I like it.
So again, after reflecting on my own journey,
Mm-hmm.
when you get to a certain level of self-love, you start to see people who might say they're into self-love and they love themselves and they master self-love, they haven't even touched the surface.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And once I got to that level and I looked around me, I saw that there are a lot of people who really need help with mastering self-love. And I decided to come up with this affirmation book because it took the affirmations for me to get to where I'm at. That was the start of it.
Okay.
And so I thought about, well, who is the first person that you hear or that you listen to or that you talk to? It's yourself.
It is.
Even if you're not speaking out loud, our thoughts speak to us. And so for me, the affirmations really helped me to lock in, so to speak, and was the start of me mastering self-love. And so the power of the tongue is so real. And it starts with you.
It do.
It really starts with you. How do you speak to yourself? And I've learned through affirmations and talking nice to me, that has opened the door for me to really be secure with who I am and love who I am. And now that energy radiates to others and affects others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And so I'm like, everybody need this.
Everybody need it.
Y'all need this.
Okay.
Y'all need this.
It is a necessity.
It's a necessity.
Especially in these times,
Yes. And so that's what made me create that book.
And if a person wanted to get that book, maybe just stay in contact with you on social media, just go ahead and give us a rollout of where they can stay connected with you. And just if you got a date already for your self-love and a self-space, you want to drop it here, go ahead, but no pressure. Just saying, anything you want the people to know, and where can we follow and stay connected with you?
Yes, of course. On Chaunté Esthetics on all platforms, and I will spell that out for you. That is ENCHAUNTE. I know it's long, y'all, but you get it. ESTHETICS. It's all one word on Chaunté Esthetics on all platforms. And if you follow me there, you will see a link in my bio to my self-love event for information for that, as well as for my book, Talk Nice to Me, as well as anything that I have coming up. I also do respond to DMs, okay? So if you want to connect with me, collab with me, you can feel free to send me a DM and I will respond.
Thank you so much. So we're going to get ready to wrap this up, but I do just want to ask, you've done so much, it seems like, but it's only been 5 years in business.
Yeah.
You got a long way to go. What else do you see for Chaunté Esthetics? Is there anything else that you'd like to just really tap into that you really haven't? What
That's
else
a great
do you
question.
see yourself? Yeah.
I definitely want to dive more into my self-love in a safe space. Now that I know, that event, now that I know that it's really needed and it's been making an impact on people, I feel like it's going to be worldwide, not just in the Atlanta area. And my next one actually will be this summer, and it's going to be a men's edition. Of course, women are welcome, but it's going to be a men's edition because I am a big advocate for men's mental health. Men are my main clientele, so I really want to make and do something specifically and special for them. So shout out to my men. I will be having that event this summer. The date will be soon. Just follow me and I'll give more details on that. But of course, women are welcome too. You never know, you might meet your husband, girl.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm showing up.
So I definitely see that going worldwide, not just in Atlanta.
Right.
And me mentoring others.
Continuing to teach, right?
Continuing to teach others.
That's what's up. So, bless you. Such an honor to meet you.
I'm so honored to be here and to be acknowledged and honored by you, and for you to even say you've been following me for years.
Yes, girl.
Like that. That's real. That's real love. I appreciate that so much.
Yes, for years, and just manifested. Even when I moved here a random one-way ticket. I did my show for the first 6 months, and after that, I didn't do my show for like a year and a half. But I had certain people that I'm grateful that I got to interview this season that's been on my list way back then. You've been one of them. I've had your screenshot in my phone, my gallery for years. So it truly is a blessing to be here, and this is me just walking in my purpose,
Yeah.
honestly, and just doing it bold, doing it not afraid, because we ain't afraid. That's what my girl just taught me. But even when I was nervous, it was like, dang, I don't know these people.
Right.
Are they gonna respond to
All
a
it
DM
takes
from
is
this
a
girl?
yeah,
They don't
right.
know. And
Full
she do
circle
respond to
moment.
DMs,
I do
y'all.
respond, yeah.
I'm
And
with
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, and I feel like we're such in alignment, and that's why we were able to connect so easily.
Thank you so much.
You're
So I'm
welcome.
grateful for you. I look forward to everything God already has in your path, just waiting for you to walk into. Okay? I look forward to this. And if you're just tuned in right now, y'all, make sure you follow Chaunté. Britney Chaunté. Okay, I'm giving her whole government, but make sure you follow her. She's doing great things. She's been inspiring me since I've been here, and I know she's gonna inspire others. Make sure you share today's session, y'all. Our share goal is 50. And if you want to win a free prize, make sure you share today's session. Then it will be available Apple, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and just follow Ladies in Motion for more women that's winning, queening in the city near you, y'all.
Period.
Next week. I'll see you then. Bye.